Yay, Amber.
Hello.
Hi, thanks for joining. Good to see you.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Okay, so we're gonna get started. Thank you so much for joining. Oh, first things first, this is a hack. You probably already know about it, but I found out about it recently and I love it. So if you go to your little square and you see the 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner, click on that. And third from the bottom, you can hide your self view. And it just feels so much better. It's like a huge relief. Ursula. So did you all figure out how to do that to hide self-view?
No. The
No?
3
Okay.
dots.
See the 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner? So you click on that, and then third from the bottom is a tab that says hide self-view.
No, mine says minimize meeting.
Are you on a phone or a computer?
I'm on my iPad.
Okay. That's weird. I don't know.
There should be a way to do it anyways.
There should be a way to do it. Yeah, it is. It is really nice.
Okay.
Good morning, Erin.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Wonderful.
Good.
How's everybody?
Good. Just about to get started. And Leah, yay.
Hello.
Hi, Leah.
Hi.
Good to see you again. I ran into Leah at the park yesterday. It's so nice to run into people in real life.
I know.
Friends.
How do I see everybody else on here? Or is that not possible?
If you go to gallery view.
Okay, let's see, because it's just on my phone, so it's a little harder.
Oh, on your phone, you won't be able to see everybody.
Okay, okay,
that's okay. But I was just telling them, and Ursula, I'm not sure. Good to see you. Glad you're here. I was just explaining how to hide self-view.
Okay.
I find it changes everything because then you're not so in your head how you look.
Yeah.
You focus. So it's the 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner. If you can do it on your phone too, and it just, I don't know, I find I can breathe.
Okay.
It's like a huge weight off. Okay. All right. Well, I want to get started because it's now 10:03 and probably more people will join. But before we get in, I just invite you to close your eyes, feel yourself on your chair, and allow yourself to take a nice deep inhale through your nose. And then hold for 3, 2, 1. Allow the exhale to come out through your mouth. Letting go of any tension. And take another deep inhale through your nose. And hold for 3, 2, 1. Just allow everything to be released slowly through your mouth. And do another one together. So deep inhale through your nose. For 3, 2, 1. Just allow everything to be released through your exhale out through your mouth. And just give your body a moment to fully arrive. Monday mornings are often filled with lots of things, can feel a little chaotic. Just allow yourself to let that go and give yourself just a full permission to be here right now. Whatever it took, you're here now. So just slowly allow yourself to fully feel your body in the chair, to feel your feet on the ground, to feel your hands. And continue just in your own time with whatever breath cycle works for you. Just feels really good in your body. Allow your inhales to feel expansive, full. Exhales to just release anything that's not serving you. And then we'll take another breath together. So inhale through your nose. Allow your belly, your chest to just fully expand. Hold for 3, 2, 1. Just allow everything to come out. And then start to work your way back here. Allow your body to do any movement or stretch. Just feels really good. Roll your head, stretch up. And then when it feels right, you slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. Oh, lots more people. Yay. So if you're wondering what the heck we were doing, I was just leading through a short breathwork meditation that just allows us to feel more grounded and just more in our bodies, because especially for Monday morning, it can feel somewhat frazzled and there can be a lot of excitement that builds up. And sometimes just being here present in front of your computer, it can be a hard transition. So I like to just start with a little meditation. Sometimes they go longer. I mean, you never know. Yeah. All right. So thanks again for joining. I am super excited to be chatting with you all today. So a year ago, like all of us, I was in a moment of like, what the hell am I gonna do? Because obviously with the Make It show, we couldn't run our events. And it was scary at first. And I was also pregnant and, just feeling, especially the first trimester, feeling pretty tired. And I just had this idea to actually, how this whole thing started, I was just doing these like mastermind drop-ins, and anyone, Diana, I don't even know. So Catherine and Diana are from Team Make It, and they're wonderful. And they're the reason we're all here because they keep me in line. I have all the creative ideas, but sometimes taking action on them can be hard, which is ironic because make it happen. That's why I'm so passionate about the subject, because it's definitely one that I I have struggled with, and I know a lot of creative people are the same way. You have all the ideas, you have the passion, but then it's like, how do you stick with it and how do you keep going? Because a lot of times you hit these moments of resistance, or you get to a point where things just feel boring and you have more exciting ideas and it's hard to keep with it. So I was doing these drop-ins, and it was so interesting. Actually, this is a funny story. One of the drop-ins got Zoom bombed, and it was so brutal because it was like myself and a few women, and we were just like really deep into what we were talking about, and then all of a sudden this guy like comes in, and he is wearing this full-on gas mask, and it was so scary and it felt so invasive. And then he proceeded to show us dick pics and all this stuff, and I didn't know what to do. I was just like, oh my God, this must be a Zoom bomber, because it was like at the start of COVID, you kind of heard about this stuff, and so I was like, so I just ended up ending the whole meeting. So that happened during one of them. It was the only time, thank goodness, because it is very violating, and I was traumatized. Now it's kind of funny, but yeah. So with these masterminds, I just realized how much we needed the opportunity to hear ourselves speak and to be witnessed and to be seen by people who are going through a similar journey. And I feel that now more than ever, we need that even more, because we're in such a state of transition. And when you're transitioning on your own, it can be so easy to get in your head. It can be so easy to feel like you're the only one having these crazy thoughts. And I just know for myself, so I've been part of a lot of groups, like so many groups. Actually, there was one point recently where I was part of 4 groups. It's too many. Plus I have a baby, like I've been saying sometimes. So 4 groups, it was a lot, but actually these groups are what has allowed me to keep going, because it's so easy to get so in your head, to get confused, to get overwhelmed, to let the fear creep in. And I just find, and even just having Diana and Catherine has been such a godsend, because I can talk through my process. And even doing this course, like they know I hit fear blocks, and I was like, I don't think I want to do this. Like I have a baby, like I don't know, like, and even just the idea of being vulnerable is so scary. Like I still struggle with it all the time. And that's why I like to hide myself for you, because then I could just go into, that, but that's exactly what it is. It's less about me. Like I have a lot to teach just because I've been an entrepreneur for a long time, almost 20 years. I just turned 40. So thinking about, I guess that's half my life. Oh my God, it's a long time. And I've had a lot of experiences in different areas. Like my first business, if you've read my book, you'll know about the booty belts. So that's a business I started while I was still in university. And I was in business school, and I had this line of like scarf belts that I decided I was going to try and do as a real business. So I was making them in my parents' basement, didn't really know what I was doing, but I was just so excited about this idea. And it was one of those things, right time, right place, these scarf belts. Like I have them, I'm at Conscious Lab right now. There's somewhere in the storage room. I'll dig them up for next time. But there's just these simple belts that I started making, and they just were on trend for a short period of time. So I was able to sell to a ton of stores. At one point I was selling to 120 stores. I was doing the big trade shows, did magic in Vegas, did shows here. And actually I'm from Edmonton, so the Alberta Gift Show. And so I went pretty far with the B2B. So I have a lot of experience in that. But then I transitioned into doing street festivals, because a friend of mine was like, hey, do you want to sell your booty belts at this festival in Edmonton called The Works? So if there's any Edmontonians. And I also started selling at the Fringe Festival there too, like on the street. It's pretty humbling, because I was used to dealing with store buyers and then to just set up a booth. So anyways, I don't know, it just made sense to sell at these festivals. And then it didn't take long after doing a bunch of them across Canada that my little light bulb went off. And I thought, I wonder if I could pull off producing one of these shows. And I had no experience producing events. I had never really put on an event before, but I just looked at it and kind of reverse engineered. And I was young and I was naive. And actually that's a beautiful combo. I think as you get older, you get more in your head about things, and the objections tend to be louder. But my friend and I, who's a jewelry designer, we just rented a venue, and then we told our maker friends, and then we promoted it, and then we had a show. And we did that for a while. And it was actually pre-Make It. It was called Stop and Shop. Yeah, Stop and Shop. And our only differentiation was we had a bar and we had DJs. So it was like a party craft fair, which hadn't really been done before. And yeah, it just really took off. And then my brother and I got into business together a couple years in, because my business partner and I, we were really, really good friends. She's such an incredible person. And, you know, we're definitely not as tight as we were. But I made the difficult decision to end that partnership because we just weren't complementary. Our skill sets were the same. And if ever you're in partnership with someone, it's just like a marriage or any sort of relationship, like it's best if your skill set is complementary, not the exact same. And so we ended our business partnership, and then I got into business with my brother. And then that's when the Make It journey started 12 and a half years ago. So I just wanted to give you a little context of my story if you don't know it already. And I also wrote a book a few years ago because I was actually inspired by the Makeys who participate at the events, because I would see some who were killing it and then some who struggled. And I was so curious what the differentiation factor was. And I started to realize it wasn't their product, because some of the ones who struggled actually had really great product and they had good websites. And then some of the ones who were killing it, I don't know, their product was not what was, maybe the product wasn't amazing, but it was like everything else. And so I started to just be very curious, because even when I did my booty belts, like I think people were shocked how well I did, because sometimes I forget lights. Like it's kind of funny looking back, because if I did Make It now as a Makey, I would drive myself crazy, because I was like the one who was late. I wasn't prepared. I didn't have lights. I would like leave my booth for hours. I was a brat. I was young. I don't know. Anyways, went through that phase, but I did really well because I had this belief system that I didn't realize was a belief system. I was just so damn excited about my booty belts, and that's what transcended through, and that's what sold them. And so when I was witnessing what was happening within the Makey community, I started to see these patterns, and these patterns were less about, again, what they were selling, what their website looked like, even what maybe their Instagram was, but it was more the individual's presence and their thought around what they were doing. And it's one of those things, it sounds simple, but it's complex too. It's the same as meditation. It's like, sit there, close your eyes and think of nothing. How hard can that be? So from doing the drop-in masterminds last year, I just knew I wanted to have conversation. And then I did my first group, which Amber was part of, Paula was part of, Diana was part of, and Leo was part of. And it was just so, Erin, you were part of it too. Yeah, Erin, yeah, of course. And I, truthfully now I can say this, like I didn't know exactly what I was doing. Like I just knew I wanted to get people together to have conversations that they're probably not having anywhere else. And the first round I did some teaching, but I felt like the magic really happened with the conversation. And for the women who were part of it, like just to really express where they were at, and the ability to be very vulnerable and very real, and to show up in a way maybe they can't show up anywhere else in their life. And it was really powerful. And I was like, whoa, okay. And I just loved doing it, even though I was tired, even though I was like morning sickness, all that stuff, like it really energized me. So then we did another round, and then we did another round. So this is this is just information on the 4th round, which I want to start at the end of the month. And I have like a presentation prepared too, so you can see more exactly what I'm thinking. So from the 3 previous, I guess you could call them masterminds, I'm having trouble even knowing what to call a lot of this stuff. But I know it's in the right direction because I've been having conversations with people at a pretty high level and just like listening, even listening on Clubhouse, which I really love, just being an ant on the wall or fly on the wall, and just hearing what's being talked about. And I feel like these groups are so powerful, and they're especially powerful for women because men have been doing things like this. I don't think there's any men on the call, and it's not like it's a gender thing either. I feel like there are men. Paula's husband Joel was part of one, and then Marlo, Aaron's son, was part of one too. So it's not even like a gender thing. It's more just feminine principles, like feminine energy around business, which is going to become the next wave of entrepreneurship, I really believe. And there's a book I've been listening to called Shakti Leadership, and it's absolutely incredible. And I would highly recommend looking out for it. And you can also go on the website Shakti Leadership and get some information there. And the author, I just went to the website and I reached out to the author because she does coaching, and she got back to me, and it was really cool. We chatted last week. She's based in India, and she's been studying sort of the feminine in leadership for centuries, because there's been times when women were the ones, sometimes I don't know the best way to articulate a lot of this stuff. But women were the ones that were basically in charge of society and culture. And that's obviously shifted significantly. But I'm really fascinated what's going to happen in the post-COVID world. And just, again, a lot of the conversation I've been hearing is the feminine principles are going to be at the forefront. So it's like, I feel like all this time, like now's our time. And just people are starting to really wake up, and the consciousness in business is something that is going to be at the forefront as well. And all of this is very, very exciting. And I think it's very exciting, especially for women like us who've probably been thinking that way for a while. But it's like, how do we harness this? Like, okay, a lot of the ways we've just naturally been doing things, like with empathy, with receiving, with pull energy instead of push. I mean, I've always run everything I've done like this, but I was kind of closeted about like what I was doing, because I thought people would think I didn't know what I was doing. And especially with Make It, I had some shame. I'm like, well, people are like, how do you bring all these people into the show? I'm like, I do. Like, I was visualizing it, and I was meditating about it, and I was dancing, and I was doing stuff that does not sound like how real businesses are run. So I wouldn't tell anyone. I was doing a lot of breath work, and I was spending a lot of time in Bali, and that's how I grew it. And it sounds like really hippy dippy woo woo, but that's exactly how I did it. But I think I had a lot of shame and guilt that I wasn't doing it the right way. And I was part of a very male dominated mastermind last year where I was the only woman, and I ended up leaving because it turned out to be not a good environment for myself. But, I was part of this high level mastermind. So I kind of thought, I'm going to take principles that I learned through this, and then all the other stuff I learned, and like bring it together. Because I do think with the feminine and artists and makers, and even a lot of people who've used Conscious Lab in the past, they're so attuned to that, but we also need some structure and some pragmatic skills as well to hold it together. Because the feminine's like very flowy, and it's very like it's super powerful, but it also has to have a little bit of harnessing. So with the Make It Happen course, like it evolved from this idea of bringing people together. And then I think maybe it was just pressure from what I should do. I'm like, I need to make an online course that can be scalable, that I can just record, and then it can, just make money. And I don't have to I don't have to worry about it. So I recorded this course right before my son Arlo was born. Like I was literally 8 months pregnant behind this desk. I'm like, make it so I don't look pregnant. I don't know why I even thought that. Like you can't hide that. And like, why? So weird that I even had that thought. Anyways, created this course, like finally pushed it out right after a few months after he was born. And then realized that like, this stuff can't just be taught in a vacuum. Like it actually needs a group around it. It needs context. It needs the sharing part. And it was actually Diana and Catherine who were like, yeah, you need to combine both. So this incarnation of the Make It Happen, whatever we want to call it, is actually a combination of both. So I'll share a little bit more of what I am talking about. Okay, and before I jump into it, are there any questions? Does this all make sense? Feel free to ask questions. Like you can even just ask them in the chat box or just ask. There'll be time for questions at the end as well. Okay, so how are we doing for time? Okay, presentation time. Make it happen. Woo! Okay, so these are the 5 steps that I've come up with. And what's really funny is I created these steps and now I have to live them. And actually, I was taking a course from a woman named Susie Batiste. She's really fascinating. Her product is called Poopery. It's like the poo spray. You probably all have it or have used it at some point. It's pretty well known. And she's amazing. She's super spiritual. She's done like ayahuasca 100 times. And she lives like in this church house in Texas. And she's really, really interesting. And her mentor is someone named Gay Hendricks, who wrote the book, The Big Leap, which is like my go-to book for everything. And if you know me, I'll probably send you a copy or like tell you to read it at some point. Actually, Orson, my fiance, when we started dating in the early days, I told him he had to read it before. I didn't say before we went on another date, but I'm like, this is recommended reading. So anyways, with Susie's course, which is actually what I want to model this after, because it was just so incredible how she did it. She said that mastery has sharp edges. And it's very true, because like I said, I created the steps, but now really living them, I have so much more context. So what they are is giving yourself permission, which sounds nice, but there's lots of layers. And then clarity, then coming up with an action plan, and then what to do when it's not happening, and then celebrating receiving the next steps. So those are the 5 steps. So I'll go a little bit deeper. And so essentially the course, I've created all these videos and like they look really good and they're well edited. They're shot in this office, so they look really pretty. And then I've also created worksheets around them too. So part of the program is you get all of that, what was intended to be like a static course, but then the context of having a group like this, where you get to share, where I'll also give you a lot more information, because also what happens is I'm learning stuff every day. Like I'm obsessed with all these things. And the woman, Nalima, who wrote Shakti Leadership, I'm going to be working with her. And she's just like, she's so smart. She's kind of intimidating because she's so smart. So I'm learning a lot. So I want to share what I'm learning. So this whole course is very it's very expansive in what's going to happen. But anyways, this just kind of grounds it so it can make it easier for other people to understand. Okay, so giving yourself permission. When you give yourself permission, you speed up the make it happen process exponentially. Stop coming up with reasons why you can't do it and begin thinking about reasons you can. Fear of making it happen and up-leveling a new way of being. I'm just going to read through this and then I'll talk about what they actually mean. The big leap, again, there's a innate fear within us of feeling too good, which sounds really wacky, but it's true. And whose permission are you seeking and why are you seeking it? Okay, so there's a lot here. So the permission piece, I feel like a lot of what comes up for people is they want to do something, they have all the ideas, they have all the reasons why they want to make something happen, but they haven't fully given themselves permission to do it. And that again is something that it's not just like, okay, I give myself permission. It can take a lot of meditation, a lot of inquiry, journaling. Like if you do feel something's coming up, it's probably because you haven't fully given yourself permission. And another point I want to highlight is the big leap. That's from that book I was referring to by Gay Hendricks. We have this internal thermostat. And so when you start to raise your vibration to a level that feels unknown and it feels unfamiliar, oftentimes we'll self-sabotage ourselves down to a level that feels comfortable. And so you can think of this like a thermostat. Like say, you have a set point of 22 degrees and it feels good, not too hot, not too cold, feels really comfortable. And so when things start happening in your life and you start to manifest the things that you've been dreaming of, that you really want to make happen, and you get to like 23, 24, 25, 26, once you get too hot, you'll start to do things that could be on a subconscious level to bring yourself back down. And a lot of times this is also because there's people in our lives that are challenged by us at that higher temperature. And that's another reason. And it's not because they don't love us, and it's not because anything bad. It just feels uncomfortable. So that's why groups like this are also really, really important, because you can share all this and you can unpack it and you can just use it as a mirror almost to just like hear yourself speak. And it's very therapeutic. Yeah, and just knowing like whose permission. Like I still seek my mom's permission, which, being 40 is embarrassing to admit, but I'm sure we're all have a parent or some caregiver where we're like, is this okay? Is this okay? I find that we rarely grow out of that. And if you have, that's awesome. That must feel really, really liberating. Okay. Step 2, clarity of idea. Getting everything out, clearing up the mess in your brain. You can't rush the process. This is something, if you were an achiever, it's like, I just got to get clear. I just got to get clear. I really believe that ideas sometimes choose us. And Susie, the poopery lady I was referring to, she talks about how ideas are alive. And her course is called Alive OS. And how energetically ideas are alive. So if you think about that, if that's a true statement, and apparently she talked to a quantum physicist or someone really smart about it. And in fact, if you think of everything as energy, of course ideas are alive. So you have this idea, it's inside you, and it's almost like the gestation cycle of birthing a human. You have something inside of you and it needs to grow, it needs to nurture. And then at some point it needs to come out, because if it doesn't, it will give you energy to a certain point. But if you don't make it happen, the reverse will happen. It will start to suck energy. And you see people out there, and it's really sad, where they had something they really wanted to do and they just allow fear to block them over and over again. And then, they get older and older and they're talking about the thing that they wish they would have done and they have regret. And it's just, I don't think it's a good way to live. So the factor here is awesome, because that means you want to take action, which is really exciting. But the clarity of the idea is also, this is huge, accepting that it's not always going to look productive. And again, like if you are someone who's an achiever, and I feel like our society, it's that masculine paradigm of like do. Just like yesterday, I took a break from the baby, which feels awesome to do once in a while. And I actually need to do more of it because it's really rejuvenating. And I just lied on the grass and I looked at the clouds, and it was just so awesome to just like fully just be there. And I was working at the same time because I was processing, this course and what I was going to talk about, but me lying on the grass did not look very productive, but I was giving myself the space and the time to think. And I could have just grinded it out. I could have been on my computer all day, but I actually think a lot of that need to do that is actually counterproductive. And it's that whole thing of being instead of doing. We'll talk a lot more about this if you decide to sign up for Make It Happen. I'll give you the details at the end. And it's, what do you want? And this is, again, this is a permission piece, and this is how it all builds. Because a lot of times if you are working in your business for a long time, you can forget what you actually like to do. And there's been many points throughout the 12-year Make It journey where I was doing work that was not lighting me up, that was not in my genius zone or my skill set, but I was just doing it because I felt like I needed to. And what happens is you get tired, you get run down, and just your mindset, you can go to pretty negative places if you're not conscious. And again, having people to talk to and having that support is super important, because it's easy to create cages for yourself. And I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs where that's happened. They've essentially built themselves a cage, but the door is always open. But sometimes you don't even realize that. And doing something new, it can be very scary. And I think the longer you've been doing it, even more so. All right. So step 3 is the Make It Happen action plan. So this is actually, this time it's going to be 8 weeks. Last time we did 6, and we felt that it was too rushed. So committing to 3 things you can do a day. 1 is better than nothing. And just building this action plan, because you've given yourself the permission, you've had the clarity. And so now it's building this action plan around it. And this is something that even for myself, creating the plan can be hard because it's all living in my head. But if you can write it all out and share and understand what needs to happen next. And then again, checking how it feels is super important too, because it's easy to get, leaving the plan open enough that something might change. It's just like the example I gave you, that I created this video course and I thought I'd just do it evergreen, set it and forget it, but it didn't work. And I knew it in my body. I'm there's something wrong here. It's not supposed to be this way. So I was checking in. I'm well, why doesn't this work? And it's oh, because it's supposed to be with a group. It's supposed to be live. And accountability with other people creates deadlines. Super important. I would honestly not do anything if I didn't have accountability. And when you think about Make It, it is the ultimate accountability, because I literally have hundreds of people who are relying on me to produce a show. And sometimes that can feel heavy and it can be stressful, but it's also amazing because I can focus on serving others. It's less about me, and it allows me to move through a lot of things a lot faster. And also, I have, like I said, I was part of 4 groups at one time, which is an awful lot, but having that accountability was so great, because if I was just in charge of setting my own deadlines and I didn't have anyone as accountable to, I really would not get anything done. I'm so in my head, I'm such a creative person. I run a business, I have a business degree, but I'm definitely hardwired as an artist. So I can understand both sides, which I think is a pretty unique perspective. Just want to check in. Are there any questions? Okay, I'll take that as a sign to keep going. If there are, again, feel free. Okay, step 4 is what to do when it's just not happening, which is going to happen. It's just part of it. And that even knowing that is really liberating, because resistance is going to come up, guaranteed. It's just part of it. And a book that I would highly recommend reading is by Steven Pressfield. Actually, he has a lot of great books. If you're not familiar with Steven Pressfield, definitely look him up. He has a book called The War of Art, and it talks about how the more you want to do something, the more you have that passion and that desire, resistance will meet you with the same intensity. It's brutal. Awful, but it's just part of it. Because if you don't really care and it's like, whatever, I'm just going to do this, you probably won't have a lot of resistance. But if you're like literally birthing something big, it's just like a baby. That's why it's such a good analogy. Now that I've actually gone through that, I'm like, oh yeah. Because like babies, well, my birth was really fast, but you know, there's resistance when the baby comes out. There's like muscles and contractions and all this stuff. Like there's that resistance that's happening, and that's normal. And I sort of feel like the power of groups like this is we all hold hands and we run at fear together. And, you know, we name what it is. When you can name something and you can see it, it's less scary. It's also less scary when you have people who are doing it at the same time. It's like, you know, jumping off a cliff. If you're just going to do that all by yourself, well, you know, that's great. But most people do it because there's an element of peer pressure, like friends are doing it and you want to, you know, you want to do it as a group. You want to have that lived experience. And a story someone shared with me that I just love, this woman, when she was a young girl, her and her best friend had a pass to the water park, and they went every single day. They would always go to the water park together and, you know, spend their summer doing that. And there was one scary slide that they would get the nerve to like walk up the stairs. You know, there's a lot of stairs because it's a really scary slide, the scariest slide at the water park. And they would walk all the way up to the top, to the platform, and they would see like the water rushing, and, you know, their heart would start to race, and they're like, okay. And then they would chicken out. So they would feel too scared, and they, you know, they're like, oh, we're not going to do it today. So then they would walk down all the stairs to the bottom, and they would do that over and over again. And then one day, it was towards the end of summer, school was starting. The one girl decided, they walked all the way up to the top, and she just went for it. She went down the slide. And then the other girl was like, oh shit, I guess I have to go down the slide too now. So then, you know, she's holding onto the sides, like, oh, just the resistance. It was so scary. But then she just allowed herself to go. And she said the exhilaration and that feeling of accomplishment on the other side, you know, you can kind of picture them like laughing and hugging and high-fiving. And they were just so elated with that feeling of accomplishment. And she said, the woman who shared the story, that carried them through the whole school year and really allowed them to be a lot more confident. So that's why, you know, again, these groups, and I'm not just saying this because I'm like, I want to sell a bunch of people into this group. Like, I really believe in the value of doing all that. And that's why it's like, you know, that's why I want to do it, because I just see how important it is. And I want other people to experience that, because I don't think there's enough opportunity to like have these experiences with other people going through something. And I will let some of the participants from past Make It Happen courses speak and share more of their experience. But when you are aware that resistance is happening, give yourself an easy win, reset, do things that bring you joy, realign. And it's also just getting over the sense of guilt. Yeah, because that's so easy. So anyways, guilt, it's always there. Guilt, shame, blah, all those yucky feelings. But then step 5, once you go down the water slide, is the celebration. And this is so important. And I actually think it's underestimated, because it completes a cycle. And when we don't celebrate ourselves and we don't have that end to the cycle, it's just not good. I don't know. You need that end point and to enjoy it, and to really take that step back and to give yourselves that feeling of like, you did something that was really hard. And it doesn't matter what it looks from the outside. It could be something that no one else really recognizes. That's totally fine. Because I think a lot of times we wait for other people to celebrate us without actually planning our celebration. Like, after this call, I'm going to get my nails done, because like, look at them, embarrassing. And it's like, okay, it was scary doing this call today. I'm so glad I'm doing it. And I knew I was going to do it. But again, it's that reward. So I can look at my nails and say like, High five, Jenna. Good job. And again, it's like setting up these reasons to celebrate yourself. It's easier when you have other people keeping you accountable and leveraging your experience. It's like looking at what you did and like, where are those leverage points? Who did you meet? Like what did you learn? Because sometimes we just like, we're like little armadillos. We just march through, we get done, and then we don't actually unpack it and realize all the lessons and all the wisdom that's actually there. So debriefing, defining what success is, and then sharing with others that have been on the path with you. Okay, so those are the steps. And what is a mastermind? A mastermind group is a peer-to-peer mentoring group used to help members solve their problems with input and advice from other group members. In his book, this is based on Napoleon Hill, who I'm sure you've heard of, discuss the idea of mastermind, which refers to 2 or more people coming together in harmony to solve problems. And the reason I'm not calling it Make It Happen Mastermind, because it's actually a hybrid of a course and a mastermind. And I didn't want it to be too confusing, but there is elements of mastermind within the course. Okay, so it's 8 weeks, starting in 2 weeks, May 31st to July 19th. Every Monday at this time. And the reason I chose this time is because there's something really beautiful about starting your week in a good place and having this to look forward to. And I find like, I'll let some of the ladies who are part of the last group share, but like, I know for myself, like just having this was such a great way to start the week. And it just felt so good. And 10 o'clock I felt was a good time too, because it's not too rushed. You can at least do some stuff in the morning. And we go for 60 to 90 minutes, probably closer to 90 minutes, because there's always lots to say. You'll get weekly videos, like you'll get the whole course that I created and all the PDF homeworks. There'll be a Facebook community, which we are going to work on making more active, because it's just a good way to check in, to share, even just like videos, podcasts, book recommendations. There's a lot of value that comes with that. So it's $350, which is still like a pretty introductory price. I feel it's really, really good value. And this is something that over time, I will definitely, be increasing the price, because I feel like the value there is pretty substantial. And if you're a Makey, well, as a thank you, get $50 off. So that is my presentation. Oh, good. You're all still here. Sweet. I never know, because I don't see anyone when I'm doing that. So we have about 12 minutes. Well, first I would like to call on Amber, Ida, Leah, Catherine, Diana, Paul, or Erin, if you would be open to just sharing a little bit of your experience. I think that could probably add a lot of value. Thank you. I'm like, I was starting to sweat. I'm like, please. Leave me hanging.
I was just leaving you for a couple seconds because you know how I don't like to be first.
I was waiting for Paula to go first.
I know. Paula loves going first. It's awesome.
No, not really, but I've become accustomed to going first in this group. So yeah, I think this is what I've done 3 go-arounds with Jenna and a few of the other ladies that are on this call. And hi, Erin. Wow, what a difference. I've gone from small business, not knowing what I'm doing, not really having any direction, being afraid to take my ideas and my dreams and bring them to life. And the weekly calls and the videos and little exercises that we do have really I've done a 360. I have direction, I have clarity, I am now actually revamping my entire website, my collections, and the way I do business, all because of the support that I received from this group. And sometimes, I mean, I have people in my life that I can talk to. I have people who love me and support me, but it's different when you are with people who understand what you're trying to build and the path that you are going down. They can offer a unique perspective and a support that is so much different and so much more valuable than somebody who loves you and just wants to support you because they love you. And yeah, for the price that Jenna is asking, you can't work with someone like Jenna who has all this experience and all this knowledge for under $1,500 and get some true value. So, and I'm speaking from experience on this one. So if you're looking to make a difference in your life and in your business, then this is the place to be. You couldn't be in a better place with wonderful people who it's not just wonderful people, but it's a safe space too. There's no judgment. There's freedom from judgment and freedom to just be yourself and express how you're feeling. And that's as unarticulate as I can be this morning with only half a cup of coffee in me. Half a cup of coffee. That was my official statement.
Oh, thanks, Paula. That's so sweet. Appreciate it. I mean, I just love doing it. It's so fun. And I'm still like, I'm still learning too. And that's why, I'm offering it and I also just want to help too. And I know things are hard for people. So yeah, I probably the price, this is like the introductory, but I've done 4 times. So I feel like getting the hang of it now. And again, it's not even about, I feel like the power isn't even in what I'm teaching, although I'm not downplaying what I have to offer, because I definitely think it is really valuable, but it's actually about the space to allow yourself to fully express. Like that in itself is so it's incredibly therapeutic to be witnessed by people who are going through something similar. And I think that's why the results are so strong. Because, you can buy courses from anybody. I mean, I just bought Jillian Harris's course. I haven't actually done it. I'm going to do it. But even like that course, like that Alive course, it was amazing. But the value, actually, she created small groups. She had 300 people who were part of it, but then the smaller groups and the smaller groups is where really the magic happens. Cause you can listen to, infinite amount of podcasts and just do courses that are video based, but it's that group thing that definitely is super powerful. Plus it keeps you going. It's so easy to not do courses that you buy. I'm so guilty. Yeah. Anyways, thank you. Who else would like to share? Otherwise I'm going to pick on Catherine. Oh, Erin, did you unmute? Perfect.
Sure. I would echo everything that was said. The idea of having a safe space that you can be very, very vulnerable and you're not going to have people going, oh, but you should do. You can ask for help. You will get assistance and a hand up as opposed to here it is, do it. And for myself, it's just been an interesting, I'm still not where I want to be, and I'm certainly nowhere near what Paula has done in the past year. But it's given me a lot of direction and a lot of places to look for further information. And I think that was one of the biggest strengths of the program, the course. And I've seen the iterations and I've seen just how much Jenna you have evolved incredibly in the whole time. And I think all of us have sort of been carried along on your enthusiasm. So it's been just an absolute blessing to be part of this whole group and meet all of you amazing women. And you guys too. Anyway, there's my little infomercial.
I want to share too. I found that this course, like, I was trying to work on my website before, and I set out dates to like publish it. And then with this Make It course, I put the goal of actually creating my website, and it worked. I was supported along the way, and it gave me that like extra deadline and push and accountability that I wanted. So if there's something that like you're holding back to not doing, and you just need that extra accountability counsel, then I think this course is good for that.
And I love how Ida, you just like went for it. You're just like, so, because didn't you launch your website like the last day of the course?
Yep. It was awesome. It actually worked. So it was great.
You want to share, Amber? Because like you also, it's just amazing. Like you're living in a whole different place. Like your life really from when it was a year ago we started. That's why I wanted to do it in May. I was like, okay, I know it's fast, but like I want to do it like the year cycle. Because think about when you started a year ago, like where you're at now, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's very different. I agree with everything that everyone else says, and also the clarity that I gained. I don't even know how you brought me to that point of providing clarity, a space for me to get that clarity. But I like decided during the course, oh, I don't want to live where I'm living anymore, where I've been living for 10 years, like in the house. So I moved from Vancouver, bought a house in a smaller community, and that's directly related to this course because it allowed me to really have a vision for what I wanted for my business and also for my life and for my family. So that was huge. And I also loved the group, like coming together, having a touch point once a week where, you know, you kind of learn things. You might read a book or listen to a podcast or get inspired or have a conversation, but then it just kind of goes and your life goes on, you start doing other things. But this provided every Monday, 10 o'clock, it brought you back to what you were working on, the conversations that you were having before, the thoughts that you were having before, and then whatever work you were doing on your own throughout the week to lead you towards those goals or those ideas. But to have the once a week gathering of people with, and you realize you're not alone. Everyone's struggling with the same things. We're all messed up. We're all doing it, you know, like everyone has their struggles. And yeah, like we all live too much alone, especially right now. So to have the opportunity to come together and to just totally be yourself. Like some days you don't really feel like being there, and maybe you won't really talk that day. And some day, like you might cry or you might come in feeling amazing, but you can just show up exactly as you are and be inspired. Like Jenna always has lovely little tidbits and books and podcasts and information that she's coming and bringing in. And it's just, yeah, I've just been so in love, and I am a completely different person than I was last year. Like I can say that 100%. Like when I started the first day, I can remember how nervous I was. Like, and I'd been doing Zoom already, but I just was afraid to show up. I didn't feel like I was qualified. I didn't feel like an entrepreneur. I didn't feel like I should be part of the group. And now, like, I'm part of the group, man. This is who I am. So anyways, I am like big fan over here.
Yay.
Yeah.
And you know what else is so exciting is once things open up, is everyone in Vancouver? Anyone not in Vancouver?
Where
are you? Oh yeah, now you're not, Amber, but you can.
I'm in Edmonton.
You're in Edmonton. Okay. Well, I have this space. This is where it's been very unactive lately, but we could do like weekend things here.
Oh, someone in the chat is saying there's a few Vermilion. I don't know.
I know, but in time we can like do weekend things here, you know, and then you can come up to Vancouver. So that's the plan. I mean, with this group, this is a starting point. As I said, like I'm still really learning how to facilitate conversations, but I'm actually taking a very interesting course next month that is just about facilitating conversations. So I'm really excited about that. So I will be able to integrate that into this and be an even better facilitator. Because that's the thing, like I'm obsessed with learning. I'm like, you know, listening to Joe Dispenza on my walks with my son, my mind gets blown. I'm like, pause, re-listen, pause, re-listen. Like I'm just obsessed with this stuff. And it's just great to have an outlet to start to share it and understand it. Because a lot of these things, and we're entering in a whole different way of thinking, of living, and even like with Make It, I'm rethinking all of that too. Because I was listening to the Nielsen report on the trends, the business trends for post-COVID. It's gonna be fascinating. I'm like, wow, events are gonna explode and shopping is gonna explode. I'm like, oh my God, like I do both those things together at the same time. Like, and I think for all the makeys, all the people just in business, like we have to like lay some foundation right now, because when the doors open up, like one of my good friends, one of my groups I'm part of, one of the ladies is in, well, it's Victoria, who was part of the first two groups. So some of you know her. She's living in LA. And so I talk to her every 2 weeks, and things are opening up in LA, and she's starting to produce some events. And she's like, it's nuts. She's like, people can't get enough. She's like, they're selling out in seconds. Like tickets are getting like scalped, like for triple the price. I'm like, whoa, okay. I think I'm sort of in denial that things will never open up. I'm like, oh, I don't want to get my hopes up. But now, I mean, I'll say this publicly. Now we're like, okay, Make It, it's on. We gotta get these apps out. We gotta get going, because I just think it's looking really positive. I think I'm just feeling a bit vulnerable because we've had to cancel shows so many times now. But I think this fall it's game on. So it's like, have the opportunity to prep yourself to get all those things going that you're scared to do. Like it's like the water slide story is so perfect, because neither of those little girls would have gone down the water slide by themselves. Like things are just less scary with other people. They just are. So like, let's just all hold hands. We'll run towards the fear, and it's going to be gnarly, but it's going to be fun, and we can talk about it. So that's my pitch. I mean, this thing is definitely not for everybody. That's why I don't even really know how to market it correctly. Like like if you're like at the marketing and you're like, geez, that's because it's hard to explain it. And I think I'm getting better. I think I probably have to do videos. Maybe I'll do one after this call because I feel pumped. But if there's any questions at all, please feel free to ask. It's a bit after 11, so I want to be mindful of the time if you have to take off. But thank you so much for being here. And we'll send something out. So if you decide you want to be part of the group, you can sign up. You probably can do that today. Right, Catherine? Are we there? Getting close?
We've got something we can send out before.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky that Catherine's here. This is all possible because, again, it's accountability. There's people, and we will become like our own little board of advisors. You can bounce ideas off of it. Like it's really open. There's no set rules. But like I said, you will get the content that I've created that I do think is really valuable. And yeah, I'll send out the recording too. So if you want to listen to it again, you can do that. But otherwise, thank you for being here. Would love to work with you. And if you have any questions, let me know. Or if you know other people, bring other people too, because it has to be the right fit. So if you're on the same vibe, probably your friends, you know. Anyways, just putting it out there. Thanks, Leah. Thank you. Bye.
Everyone, take care.
Bye. Good to see you guys.
Yay.